Wow, Jack Green, week 12 of the Winter Wellness Plan. I can't believe we've reached the final week, mate.
It's strange, to be honest. We've spent a lot of time on this, and it's been a big part of both our lives for the last 12 weeks and filming this. So don't know what we're going to do afterwards.
Yeah, well, we'll have to just keep chatting about our well-being, Jack. Just so come down gently. But it's been a great journey. We've covered, a huge amount in terms of the drivers of our form, the pillars of our well-being, and we're now on to kind of sense of purpose. And it's sort of a nice one to sort of finish on, really, isn't it?
Yeah, for me, it's the thing that underpins a lot of what I do and a lot of my life. So for me, I think it's one of the most important things, and I know you've got a very similar view on that.
Yeah, and it's I think we could talk about how we found our purpose in a second, but the long and short of it, having a strong sense of purpose, having a good understanding of why we're doing things, and things that really motivate us to thrive and to perform or whatever it might be. Having that sense of purpose is good for our mental health. It's good for our well-being. If we don't have a sense of purpose, looking at it from the reverse, that can certainly negatively affect how we're feeling about ourselves. And so it's really understanding what your purpose is, or finding a sense of purpose, can have this real positive effect on our form. And it's interesting from the perspective of someone that has found their purpose. I can kind of see the sort of before and after. So I still get depressed. I still get manic with my bipolar, but actually the difference now, I've got a strong sense of purpose as a mental health campaigner and doing this sort of stuff, actually means I get less episodes of depression. The mania is less pronounced. So the mental health challenges that I face through having a diagnosed mental illness is diminished a little bit since I found a sense of purpose. And I think that's really powerful, and it's anecdotal, but do you feel the same, Jack?
Yeah, very much so. And I think that's hugely powerful. In the end, you want to look after your own well-being. So if we can find any tool, which this whole course has been about, that will help us, then that's so important. And for me, when I think of purpose, the first thing I think about is direction. So when you talk about having purpose and not having purpose, when you don't have purpose, you don't have direction. So it doesn't matter what you do.
Yeah.
It just doesn't matter. Whether you go left, you go right, doesn't matter, because you're not trying to go anywhere. Whereas when you have purpose and you know roughly where you want to go, you have some idea of your direction. Some of you purpose might be really strong, and you've got it nailed and you go, yeah, this is where I'm going. Some of you might be a bit more in the middle, but at least this is where I'm going.
Yeah.
It's damn sight easier to get up each morning and push through when things are tough, when you know there's a reason for it,
Yeah.
reason to push, which was a big thing when, in my career. And a lot of the time my purpose was just, because I'm good at something and I'm meant to win. That's not actually that powerful. That didn't really connect on a deeper level. So at the time, it wasn't particularly powerful. Not when I was struggling. Most of the time, it was really difficult for me to get up and keep going because there wasn't really a reason for me to do it.
Yeah, and I guess you've spoken about this before, in that you made the decision to retire as an athlete when you were one of the top athletes in the world, and you were at the sort of peak of your physical prowess in terms of your age. And I guess you made the decision to do that because you had found, or were finding, your purpose. And many people will look at that decision and find it, I guess, inspiring, but maybe also question it a little bit, in that you've given up something that was your dream at a time where you're at your peak. But how powerful was the pull of that sense of purpose that you were discovering?
It all came from a question. I was working with a counsellor for the first time, pretty much in my life. So first time in 6 years after being diagnosed with depression and bipolar tendencies and anxiety. And she just asked me a simple question of my whole intention. I was going to go back to running in 2020, go to the Olympics, but have a year off before. She said, well, why would you go back? And all the reasons I came up with were external reasons. Because society think, well, of course you want to be an Olympian, of course you want to go to another Olympics. Oh, you're 28, you're going to be at a peak. It's like winning the lottery, having enough talent to be able to go to the Olympics. Why would you throw all that away? And I couldn't come up with one internal reason. So I was just, well, why am I doing this then? I'm not
Yeah.
doing it for me at any point, which big part of your purpose has to be about what you want, not what others want. And that's why it's probably the bravest decision I ever made, because it went against what society would kind of understand. And as you said, people still question me on it. People who are close to me or understand mental health don't question it because they understand. But for me, look, it had to be something for me. I wasn't willing to sacrifice myself for something I didn't believe in, or something that would benefit society in some way, but not actually in a deep way. Actually, me running around a track is completely ridiculous. The fact it was a job, stupid. I ran around. So for me, it was that whole understanding why you do what you do, and then moving forward.
Yeah. So finding your why, and obviously there's lots of great stuff out there from people like Simon Sinek, and lots of great TED Talks, and we'll probably signpost a few of those in the notes. But finding your why, really important. And how did that come to you?
I think through my struggles, it kind of naturally came about. And I'm not saying my purpose is nailed on. I think I've got the general gist of it, but I'm not sure I've completely nailed it. But for me, it's, why do I do what I do? I do things because I want to help people, essentially, is what I want to do. So through my coaching, through working in wellbeing, I'm able to help people, and particularly with the coaching and something I'm passionate about, which is sport and athletics. I'm able to directly use my experiences and my knowledge to help people, and obviously that translates into wellbeing as well. But for me, when I was young, when I had a lack of emotional intelligence, lack of experience, that wouldn't have worked at all.
Yeah.
I don't know what my purpose was when I was young, or what it should have been. I know that it was around that winning and because you're good at something, but I was also selfish. I was arrogant. I only cared about myself. I would have walked over anyone to get to Olympic glory. So if older Jack said that to younger Jack, the younger Jack would go, nah, I'm all right, thanks. That sounds a bit soft. But as I changed, as my environment changed, so did my purpose. And I think that's a really important point, that your purpose is fluid, it's flexible. As you change and your environment changes, so will your purpose. It won't always be the same. So don't expect to leave this talk here or, whenever and go, oh yeah, I've got it, I've nailed it on, because you might still be changing. You might still be growing and developing and learning, which we are all the time, but at this moment in time. And what about yours, Rob? Because you've got quite a story around this.
Yeah, and like yourself, it came from adversity, and it came from sharing my story and seeing the reaction of that. And I thought, so many people experience a mental health challenge but do so in silence. I want to be part of the movement that's trying to change that, and that became my purpose. And as you say, purposes can evolve, and mine is evolving to help inspire and equip people to manage their well-being, as well as create cultures that are open about mental health, and people can seek help when they need to. And it's a privilege to kind of work in this space, and it doesn't feel like work. It feels like a mission, and I often refer to the mission. But I think for me, that finding that why, and I wasn't really looking for it, was transformational. And I can understand why there is so much of a movement and a push for people at an individual and an organizational level to find their why, to find their purpose. And I think good organizations have a well-defined purpose that their people can get behind and engage in. And then, you feel that sense of satisfaction and belonging, really, a place in the world and in your employer. And look, I think we're both realistic enough to know that not everyone is going to have that great sense of purpose in what they do. For some people, their jobs will be about earning money, and that's absolutely fine. But that still doesn't take away from the fact that as a human being, we do need to know what our why is, and we do need to have that direction that you were talking about. So I think it's important that people can reflect on where they're getting their why from, and then think about, actually, do I need more of a sense of purpose, potentially outside of work?
Yeah, and I think that's hugely important. It doesn't have to be in your occupation. Then you just got to keep asking those questions of why. So if the reason you are in your job is because of financial, then ask yourself, well, why am I earning the money?
Yeah.
And if that is because you want, whatever lifestyle you want to provide for your family or whatever it might be, right, cool. Now you found your why. So I do this as a means to an end to allow me to do my why.
Yeah.
Because we're not always going to do things we want to do.
No.
There's so many things I do I don't particularly want to do, but I know that they're part of the journey. So it's understanding that it's not always easy and it's not always fluffy and soft. Sometimes things just have to be done to get you to that end mission, as you talk about. You know, is this helping me get to that part of the journey? So you can still find your why outside of your occupation, which I think is really important for people to understand. And then the other thing I was thinking about when you were talking was, so we ask ourselves a lot, and you said about individual and corporate, we ask ourselves a lot about our why, and that tends to be the focus a lot. How many corporates actually ask themselves that? Not many. They might have when they first started, but then when you're looking at the bigger ones, they've been around a long time, typically. Do they still know their why? Do they know their people's why? It's a really interesting thing, and maybe something for people to think about.
Yeah, and I think there's been a lot of good work done on purpose in a lot of organisations. I think there's probably also a bit of lip service being done in others. But I think where I've seen good practice is when an organisation decides, right, we need to define what our purpose is today, and that's then a consultation with the whole organization, really, to understand what does the organization mean for you. There's one I really like, which is a business I work with called BDO, the accounting firm, and their purpose is helping you succeed. And I love that because clearly they're a client service business, so that can be construed as helping your clients succeed, which is great. But you can also be your people, helping you succeed in your roles. And I think that's quite cool because it sends a strong message of positivity about the sort of place they would like it to be for their employees, as well as what they're trying to do for their clients.
Yeah, I think that brings up a little idea that I might even do myself to try and define my own purpose that a little bit more. If I was a business, if Jack Green was a business, what would my mission be? What would my why be, my purpose? And find that little tagline. And then I can constantly ask myself, are these decisions aligning with my purpose and my why? Just an interest. I like thinking of things like this. I'm nowhere near as creative as the people we've had on, I know, but that's pretty good for me. So,
but yeah, I think that it's a really good one for people to do, and challenge of the talk for this talk really would be, can you articulate what your why is in a strap line, in a sentence? For me, there's a few ways I could go with this, but I'm the bloke that asks you, how are you today, as you can see in my background. But the bigger bit of that is, what I'm trying to do is inspire more open conversations about our mental health and well-being, and that would be a purpose of mine that's all wrapped up in that one question, really. But a good challenge for everyone. Can you articulate what your purpose is in a sentence? And that element of reflection, I think we can learn quite a lot from that.
Yeah, definitely. It's got me thinking about mine now, because I know what it is for my well-being consultancy, and but actually, have I defined mine enough apart from just wanting to help people? And then it makes me think, I'm going personal here. We like personal, don't we, Rob? So it's fine. It just makes me think, a lot of the reason of my purpose came from the fact that I just didn't want people to go through some of the stuff that I went through. And I think there's a lot of passion there. There's a lot of power there. And if I can keep remembering that, I could probably help a lot more people.
Yeah, definitely. And I think we've got to remind ourselves from on a regular basis too, because that gets you through the more difficult bits. But as people could be listening to this thinking that's all well and good, you guys have found your purpose, and for someone that might be struggling with this a little bit, Jack, have you got any thoughts on, outside of work, the sort of things that can give people purpose?
Yeah, obviously it's quite broad. Everyone's got their things that they enjoy, and that's always the first place to go. The things that you don't think are a sacrifice when you're giving time to it, or you're giving your money to it, right? That tends to be something. People talk about with work finding something you enjoy, something you're good at, and the other parts of it. So for me, look at what you're enjoying first, and then that will probably give you some good direction on it. And it doesn't have to be work, as you said, and it doesn't have to be people. because a lot of people go straight to, and I know that's our purpose, but a lot of people go straight to thinking of people, and right, what can actually, it can just be a thing. It doesn't have to be directly a person or people. I think you can articulate this better than me, because I'm having just a load of thoughts. You put me on this whole spiral of thinking of my own purpose, and I've kind of lost myself.
I've sent you off there, but yeah, I mean, I think simple things like, I really like the idea of things in the community, whether it's kind of clubs or being part of a committee of something that can give someone a sense of purpose. But even things like a book club, that you're meeting up regularly to discuss a piece of literature, that can give someone a strong sense of purpose. Obviously, sports and sports teams are useful for that. But I think people find sense of purpose in all sorts of things. It could be a crusade to save a local building that you're getting off the ground, or whatever it might be. But I think starting with that question, what is your why? Are you getting that from the workplace? If not, can you change it within your workplace? If you need to look outside of work, where can you possibly get it from? So I think that's a good point to sort of finish the formal bit of the winter wellness plan. We're going to have one more wrap up session, I reckon, Jack. But it's been an absolute pleasure, and thank you everyone that's got through the 12 weeks. Hopefully, you'll have learnt a lot, and you're in the process now of proactively managing your well-being effectively. So thank you for joining us. Thank you, Jack.